But we'll start with the DXY, and we'll work our way through the USD pairs, and then we'll take a look at some of the yen pairs shortly afterwards. But we did finish last week pretty bullish, and that looks like it's creeping into this week, and we could be seeing more upside. Still very bullish dollar, so I'm still expecting more of the same. I was talking about this area of interest last week on the retest of the zone and looking for price to continue from that area. But of course, doesn't look like price is going to retrace there. Maybe at some point we do when momentum picks up. We might see a bigger retracement next week or maybe the week after. At the moment, everything is kind of still very stale, and looks like we're slowly picking up pace back to the highs here. Bit of consolidation, might see a breakout maybe by the end of next week, and then potentially there could be some moves back to the high there, 108.485. Because again, if you are looking to trade intraday, you're not looking for anything crazy. I think a push back to the high makes a load of sense. Definitely, if you can refine that to like the 50-minute chart. Of course, in Euro, we'll touch on that in a moment. But there could be some nice intraday opportunities if price was to break out of this and then look for some pullbacks back into the high. A lot of momentum is pointing to the upside for USD across multiple time frames. Monthly chart, weekly chart, daily chart looks like we're seeing price remain bullish. And from an intraday level as well, we had a pretty strong move to the upside. So to me, this is like a pause. And I'm looking for price to break out of that and see some more upside back into the high. And if we zoom out and look at the bigger picture, let me go to the daily chart. It does look like price is breaking through. Well, it looks like it's breaking through this high, but more importantly, it looks like price is breaking through that high, which for me is the key significant high, which I would expect price to break through. And if we were to push back to the high there, we're looking at a really big move in 2025, which is what I'm expecting. So a lot more strength longer term. We looked at intraday, looks like more upside as well. Of course, brief pause at the moment. But if that was the break to the upside, I would expect price to keep pushing. If you take that information into EURUSD, we can expect probably the same thing. And a push back to the lows. I'm still pretty confident we do go and take out the wick low here at 1.03282. I do think that is where price is likely to end up. It looks like we've had a pullback already. We did see a bit of movement on Monday, but not quite enough to come back and retest the low here. That's where I was talking about my weekly analysis. It'd be great if price would come back and retest that low and see some shorts off the back of that area. As you can see, we've got one high over there, second low, second lower high, next lower low. So I was looking for the third test there for the lower high and some shorts. However, I mean, again, we could still come back to retest the same as dollar. We could still come back for that deeper correction when momentum picks up. Still could see dollar make that move to the upside, double top that and then drop. So that's still something to look for. But again, a bit more intraday because we are kind of flat here. If price was to break through the low here, there could be some really nice shorts on the break retest and look to ride that back into this swing low, which is at 1.035. And of course, we've got that wick there just below us, which is what I would expect price to go and eventually take out. But again, if you can get pushed back to the low, you're looking good. No need to try and force anything. You can always leave positions to run if you want to. But yeah, with EURUSD still pretty bearish to me. Really strong drop there on Wednesday last week after the Fed interest rate. So that really does point the direction because it's going to be very difficult for us to suddenly push all the way to the upside. Excuse me. And reverse all that momentum is going to take a lot of bullish momentum for us to completely reverse that. So in the meantime, as long as we stay bearish, especially from an intraday point of view, I think shorts is the best way forward, break and retest and looking at more downside. So EURUSD, keep an eye for some shorts. Either we have the bigger pullback into 1.04600 or price kind of just steadily rolls over. Either way, I do expect more downside there. For pound USD, it's a similar situation as well. Again, I do expect more downside, still very bullish on USD. So markets like pound USD, I'm always going to be expecting downside when I have such a strong bias in dollar. And then if I expand to the daily chart, there is a pretty nice swing low just below us here at 1.235. So that's kind of where I'm expecting price to end up. But first, I do want us to see a strong break through this low. And once that happens, I do think some intraday shorts will be looking good. And of course, we can look for some pullbacks of that. But drop to the hourly chart, strong break of this low, and then look for some pullbacks, retest the high. And then, of course, you got some nice shorts there. I'm not too sure about taking the break of this. I know it's kind of similar to Euro in terms of the consolidation. Might see a strong break of that, pullbacks, and then some more shorts. But however, we're coming back into some major support. So I wouldn't want to take that type of opportunity. Euro USD, the path is a lot clearer. So I'd rather wait for breakouts on that and look for more opportunity to the downside. Whereas pound, I'd wait for price to really break through this 4-hour support. And then I think the shorts will look a lot better. We've been very, very consistent with these lower highs, as we can see. So it's a sign that we could expect more. And if we break through the low there, there's a good chance we will see more. Dollar CAD, I really like this one. It's a pair on my watch list. It's a pair I'm looking at, but I need to see a very big pullback before I do get any longs. This is the area I'm looking to buy from, 1.415. Yeah, at the moment, price is nowhere near a pullback into that area. It's nice confluence. We've got the 0.618 running through that same zone as well. So it would be great for a pullback into that area, but I do not see that happening anytime soon. Again, it potentially might pick up when momentum picks up. We might see that bigger pullback, so I'll keep a close eye on that. I'm not really interested in buy opportunities up there. I'm looking for the bigger pullbacks because we've already had a really strong breakout. Expand to the weekly chart, really strong breakout. So I'm waiting for that bigger pullback so I can catch the bigger move. Yeah, that's the idea. If we can have some healthy corrective pullbacks, you probably see some bigger moves after that. Shallow pullbacks, you're only looking for more so shallow moves in general. But yeah, that's kind of where my interest is for dollar CAD from a 4-hour perspective. Intraday is kind of a bit flat. But I think if you're looking for some longs, this is a nice place for it. Another spike to the downside like we did on these two prior occasions. One over there, second over there, potentially a third. And then again, expecting another bounce to the upside. I think this is a nice place to be looking for some longs. If you can get some wicks in this area, I think that looks like a nice buy, even if it is just to play the range. So something like that, back to 1.44322. Play the range, see what price is giving you. But overall, I do think more upside is still the bet to play here, especially if USD is going to be strong. What's up, guys? Welcome to the stream, Ahmed. Welcome, Sam. Hope you're doing good. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot of consolidation, to be fair. Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of volume. Yeah, until the new year. We won't pick up probably until... I mean, we do sometimes see a bit of movement between Christmas and New Year's, so that little period there. But it might be... I mean, until everything back in full flow. Yeah, you are correct. Until the new year. But sometimes you do see a bit of movement, but of course, it won't really heat up until the new year. But dollar CAD, that's kind of what I'm looking for. If you get the deeper correction, 1.418 looks good. If not, then probably looking at a shorter move back and then a push back up again. In terms of Aussie dollar, similar situation with these guys, still very bearish. I think we've got mainly consolidation right now, which makes sense because it is Christmas Eve. But I do think we can see a push back to the wick lows here and probably go and take them out as well. I did say I would be looking at pullbacks back into this area here roughly, and I think that still looks like a good area. You can see the very consistent lower highs price is making. So one over there, second, third, fourth, fifth. Again, looking at that next one and then the next drop to the downside, but it's a situation where we might not get that until the new year, as we mentioned. On a more intraday level, I think it looks still a little bit tricky to trade. I'll probably treat this similar to dollar CAD in terms of just looking for a spike back to the high. So something like this, another spike back into this area, and then looking for some shorts at the high there. Now, this is not necessarily a massive pullback. I'm not expecting the market to completely drop from this, although it could. But I think from an intraday level, it makes sense. Back into resistance, see some nice spikes from that area. There's a good chance we do spike from that area and see some downside. And if you can trade it back into the lows here for these wicks, I think that'll be a really nice trade. Book some profits. Maybe you get a situation where you can leave some to trail back to the low. But overall, I do think shorts look good. What's up, the high elf? Welcome to the stream. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you're doing good. But yeah, Aussie dollar still expecting more downside, very bearish with these USD majors, of course, being very bullish on USD tends to make that my bias. But New Zealand dollar, similar situation as well. This is the hourly chart too. I would say some shorts back at the high then make a load of sense. Push back into 0.56664 and may see a continuation of that. On a higher time frame perspective, I'm still looking at a bit big of a pullback back into this area. Maybe this area if we're lucky as well, 0.58, 0.57591. Those would be healthier pullbacks, healthier areas to short from, because the market would have at least contracted a little bit because it's been falling for quite some time now. So the market is still pretty stretched to the downside. So I do expect a bit of a relief, bit of a breather, and that would be coming back to retest some of these areas before continuing. So that's really my thinking with New Zealand dollar, Aussie dollar as well. Bigger pullbacks, more downside. But because volume's low, we might just see pullbacks into these areas react and see some downside. We might not have enough bullish pressure to break through and see some upside. So shorts around those areas make the most sense. But if I expand to the higher time frames, I do expect price to keep falling. I'm still looking for this wick low to be taken out there for New Zealand dollar. I do think that's still the bigger move. So if we do see some upside, expecting a low high to form, it'd be nice to retest this low here and find some shorts off the back of that. But again, it will take quite a lot of volume for us to get there, which we may not see for a while. But I do think price is still likely to keep falling. So shorts is the only thing I'm after. In terms of gold, it's been pretty bearish on this one, looking for more downside. We did have a nice reaction of this area, which we were talking about yesterday. Price hasn't really got going. Maybe if this was a different time of the year, we might have seen a cleaner move, but we did see price start pretty bearish off reacting that area. Now it's kind of flattened out a little bit. So again, I would say if price was to push back into that same zone, there could be some nice shorts around 26.30 to take it back down again. I think this is a really nice place for a short, and we might see price just go pinch the high there, test that zone again, and then get the drop, kind of a 1, 2, 3, and then we get the big sell. That sort of pattern could look to form there. But in terms of the direction, still pretty bearish on gold. Of course, USD being strong kind of helps with that. But on a daily chart, we had a really aggressive double top up here. It looks like we're having a breaking test of this zone, really strong support, a lot of wicks into that zone. Now looking to put the wicks in the opposite direction means that the level's holding the resistance. And there's a good chance we do get a sell back into this low. So that's still the thinking with gold, looking at pullbacks, retest into that zone. And there could be some nice intraday shorts around 26.35 to get involved and see some downside. And in terms of silver, I'm looking for something similar as well. I talked about this area, nice place for a correction into. And I think that's still a nice place. I know the market's a little bit sideways now, struggling at this high, but I think if we were to break to the upside, because there will be some early sellers getting involved in the market, more or less situated above the high here. I think if we were pushed back into this area, I think that's a sensible place to be looking for some shorts and possibly see another move to the downside there. So overall with silver, still very bearish, still looking at more downside. USD still looks very strong. I do think we can keep falling there.